Hello, I'm Evan Nolan, the president and co-founder of the United States Athletics Hall of Fame, here another returning nominee for the class of 2024. Born in Atlanta, Georgia on St. Patrick's Day 1902, Robert Tyre Jones Jr., better known to us all as Bobby Jones, is not only one of the greatest golfers of all time, but he may be the man most responsible for the development of golf over the last 100 years and really the structure by which it functions today. Now, his father, who is nicknamed the Colonel, was quite the athlete himself. Actually had the opportunity to play for the Brooklyn Dodgers, but turned them down to become an attorney, and actually was one of Coca-Cola's first attorneys. Now, the Colonel and his wife had a first son named William, who died after only 3 months. And so when Bob was born and was very, very sickly, they were very concerned. Bobby could actually only eat very bland foods for much of his young life. But the family lived right next to East Lake Golf Club, which is now the permanent home of the Tour Championship and has been since 2004. And they encouraged young Bobby to take up golf to strengthen his muscles. To say he took to the sport is an understatement. He was a golfing savant. He would win his first tournament at only the age of 6. By the age of 9, he was a junior champion of the club. He broke 90 for the first time at the age of 10. He broke 80 for the first time at the age of 11. And he broke 70 for the first time at the age of 12. By the time he was in his early teens, he was driving 250 yards off the tees. And this was with equipment from the 1920s with the old drivers and irons, none of the modern stuff that we have these days. When he was 14, he would play in the inaugural Georgia Amateur Championship and win it. He was playing his first U.S. Amateur the same year, by far the youngest player in the field, and would make it to the third round of match play. Now, he was the talk of the tournament, not just for his great play at such a young age, but for his ferocious temper. Bobby hated to lose. He'd actually spent a couple of years touring the U.S. playing exhibitions to generate money for war relief during 1917 and 18, and would represent the U.S. against Canada in the 1919 and 1920 series, winning 3 of the 4 matches that he participated in, and really helping him prepare for his professional career. It was during this time that he would finally get his temper under control, and his game would go to an even higher level. Now, to qualify for his first U.S. Open at the age of 18, he'd win his first in 1923 at just the age of 21. This was really the jumping off point for his career, because he'd win 13 of the 21 majors that he entered in. This would include 4 U.S. Opens, 3 Open Championships, 5 U.S. Amateurs, and the British Amateur. He'd be the first player to hold both the British Open and U.S. Open titles at the same time when he won them both in 1926, and he was the last player to hold both the U.S. Open and U.S. Amateur titles in 1930. Now, that 1930 season may be the greatest year that any golfer has ever had in history. He'd win the Grand Slam that season, winning the Amateur Championship, the Open Championship, the U.S. Open, and the U.S. Amateur. This would make him the only player to have won the pre-Masters Grand Slam. And actually, before the season started, he'd actually make a bet with the British bookies who gave him 30-1 odds of winning the Grand Slam. When he did win it, he'd collect $60,000, which is equivalent of about $1.1 million today. Unsurprisingly, in 1930, he'd also win the James E. Sullivan Award as America's top amateur athlete. Now, he'd retire from amateur golf after that season and turn professional, which was necessary because the rules of the time only allowed professionals to make money from golf in any form. And he wanted to make money from books and instructional videos, and had to drop his amateur status in order to do so. But the first thing he would really do is go on to design the first steel-shafted golf clubs, which are still considered among the greatest clubs ever made. But more importantly than that, he went on to design the Augusta National Golf Club and create the Masters Tournament, the model on which all other tournaments are currently built. In all, he would play only 13 years of competitive golf and play only 52 tournaments during that time, but he'd win 23 of them. During his career, he was perhaps the most beloved figure in all of golf. In fact, St. Andrews, Scotland, presented him with the key to the city, which he's making him one of only 2 Americans ever so honored by the city. The other one, by the way, was Benjamin Franklin. At the age of 46, he would be diagnosed with syringomyelia, where fluid fills up the spinal cord cavity. This would eventually lead to him being wheelchair-bound. But he was still a legend on and off the course, and golf owes his current stature and structure to Jones as much as anyone else in history. He was elected to the World Golf Hall of Fame in 1974, 3 years after his death. Will he be elected to ours 50 years later? That's going to be up to you. You can vote for Bobby Jones or any of our other nominees to the United States Athletics Hall of Fame at www.theusahof.com. That's the United States Athletics Hall of Fame.com, just shortened. Our voting will continue between now and December 1st. We may close our polls, so vote as often as you want, as long as only once a day. I'll be back soon with another nominee, but until then, take care.